What happens when a bitter veteran tries to destroy the league's biggest star and it completely backfires? Sheryl Swoopes just found out the hard way. After spending years spreading false narratives about Caitlin Clark, the WNBA finally had enough and fired her from all broadcasting duties, not just Fever games, but everything. Now bankrupt, she's scrambling to save face by begging Caitlin Clark for her job back, but fans aren't buying it. The pattern of consequences for Swoopes goes back years, and Clark's rise just exposed everything. Does Swoopes deserve everything that's happening to her? Let me know down in the comments below.
She got fired, but it looked like you got fired, bro. It looked like she got fired. I just gotta keep it real. It looked like she got fired.
Being a hater of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever in Clark's rookie season, even insinuating that players would flee the team because of the attention around the team.
Swoopes made her biggest mistake when she decided to go after people who actually had the receipts. Her obsession with tearing down Caitlin Clark reached dangerous territory when she started making up completely false claims about Clark's college statistics. She wasn't just offering opinions anymore. She was spreading straight-up lies about verifiable records that anyone could look up. Nancy Lieberman wasn't having any of it. The Hall of Fame legend stepped right into the mess and publicly corrected Swoopes with the actual numbers. Lieberman laid out Clark's real statistics and called out the false narratives that Swoopes had been pushing. You'd think getting fact-checked by someone of Lieberman's stature would make Swoopes back down and admit her mistake. Swoopes doubled down hard. She got into a nasty public argument with Lieberman, refusing to acknowledge the truth even when presented with concrete evidence. Swoopes kept pushing her false version of events and attacked Lieberman for daring to correct her. The whole basketball world watched this respected veteran embarrass herself by arguing against basic facts. Stephen A. Smith saw what was happening and absolutely demolished Swoopes on national television. Smith didn't hold back when he called out her obvious bias and jealousy toward Clark. He questioned why someone who should be celebrating young talent was instead trying to destroy it. Smith made it clear that Swoopes' behavior was unprofessional and damaging to the sport.
There seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes herself.
The criticism from Smith hit different because he wasn't just some random commentator. He's one of the most influential voices in sports media. When Smith called out Swoopes' jealousy, it reached millions of viewers who started seeing her attacks on Clark for what they really were. Smith asked the question everyone was thinking. Why would a legend try to tear down a rising star? Every time someone challenged Swoopes with facts, she got more defensive and made herself look worse. She couldn't handle being corrected and turned every factual discussion into a personal attack. Her credibility was falling apart in real time as these public confrontations exposed her true motives.
People in the Fever were like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit going on around there.
It's a lot. Yeah. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
The basketball community realized Swoopes wasn't offering legitimate criticism of Clark's game. She was actively spreading false information and refusing to correct it when called out by other respected figures. Her vendetta against Clark had turned into something personal and ugly that had no place in professional basketball coverage. These feuds showed everyone that Swoopes had completely lost her objectivity when it came to Clark and the new generation of WNBA stars. The damage to her reputation was massive because she chose to attack the league's biggest rising star instead of supporting women's basketball. The WNBA leadership was watching all of this unfold and couldn't ignore the fact that one of their broadcasters was actively hurting the league's image by spreading lies about its brightest young talent.
And then obviously you guys remember last year when Dallas had to pretty much say, hey, you can't broadcast the Indiana Fever game after the little comments and things you had the game before or something like that. Yeah, I believe it was that. And Nancy Lieberman was the one who pretty much confronted Sheryl Swoopes about the whole situation and let her know, like, hey, we got to keep it this, we got to keep it that, keep it about basketball.
The WNBA firing Swoopes wasn't a surprise to anyone who knew her history. This woman has a track record of toxic behavior that goes back years, and the league finally caught on to what college administrators already learned the hard way. Let's go back to 2016 when Swoopes was coaching women's basketball at Loyola University Chicago. Things went south fast when the university started getting reports about how she was treating her players. We are talking about serious allegations of player maltreatment that created a completely toxic environment for these young women who were supposed to be learning and growing under her leadership.
Loyola University basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players.
The college coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
The university conducted their investigation and found the reports credible enough to fire her from the program entirely. Swoopes lost her coaching position because she couldn't treat college students with basic respect and professionalism. The players she was supposed to mentor and develop were instead dealing with hostile treatment that made their college experience miserable.
Just because you are a great player doesn't make you a great coach.
Former Loyola basketball player Kate Sohn says Swoopes caused the players to live in fear, that she routinely threatened that they would lose their scholarships or she would cut them from the team.
It made it hard to play. It wasn't about working hard and having fun anymore. It was about surviving.
Fast forward 8 years to 2024, and we see the exact same toxic behavior pattern playing out all over again. The only difference is the stage got bigger and the target changed from college players to the WNBA's brightest rising star. Swoopes took everything she learned about tearing people down and applied it to Caitlin Clark with surgical precision. For 12 straight months, Swoopes launched relentless attacks on Clark using false narratives and completely twisted statistics. She spent an entire year trying to diminish Clark's achievements and spread lies about her college records. Swoopes used her platform as a broadcaster to push personal vendettas instead of celebrating the talent that was bringing new fans to women's basketball. Swoopes showed her true character twice now. First, when she had power over college players who couldn't fight back, and then when she targeted Clark through her broadcasting platform. In both situations, she used her position to create hostile environments and tear people down instead of building them up.
That she mistreated players.
It was the environment she created. I was belittled, humiliated, made to feel extremely small.
Head coach since 2013. Last year, 5 of her players reportedly transferred to different programs. And this year, a reported 10 of the team's 12 players aren't planning on coming back.
The college firing should have been a wake-up call about her behavior, but instead, she just found a different venue to continue the same toxic patterns. She went from destroying team chemistry in college to trying to destroy the reputation of the WNBA's biggest draw. The venues changed, but the behavior stayed exactly the same. Basketball fans started connecting the dots between her coaching dismissal and her obsessive attacks on Clark. People realized this wasn't about basketball analysis or legitimate criticism. This was personal vendetta behavior that had already cost her one job in the sport. The WNBA leadership faced a decision about whether they would tolerate someone with this track record continuing to damage their league's reputation and attack their biggest stars. Swoopes had already shown what happens when she gets unchecked power over people in basketball.
We've got a Sheryl Swoopes switch up. I think, either you get on the bandwagon or you get left behind.
Swoopes hit rock bottom, and now she's doing something that would have been unthinkable just months ago. She recently appeared on ESPN singing Caitlin Clark's praises and calling the Indiana Fever an amazing team. After spending an entire year trying to tear Clark down with lies and false narratives, Swoopes suddenly discovered that Clark and her teammates are actually talented players worth celebrating. The complete flip in her messaging couldn't be more obvious or desperate. Swoopes went from questioning Clark's college records and downplaying her achievements to suddenly acting like she's been a supporter all along. She's trying to rewrite history and pretend that her year-long campaign against Clark never happened. The woman who spread false statistics about Clark is now praising those same accomplishments she tried to diminish.
And then you're bringing back Aaliyah Boston, who continues to get better every single year. Can we talk about Kelsey Mitchell, who is just a walking bucket? How much stronger Caitlin got in the offseason. You know she was in the gym working on her game. This Indiana Fever team, they have put the pieces together in this offseason, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Basketball fans saw right through this fake transformation and absolutely destroyed Swoopes on social media. They called out her transparent attempt to save face and pointed out that her sudden change of heart coincided perfectly with losing her broadcasting job. Fans posted screenshots of her previous attacks on Clark next to her new praise, showing everyone just how fake this damage control really is. The timing of Swoopes' desperate pivot reveals everything about her true motivations. The 2026 CBA negotiations are turning into a complete mess, and bitter veterans are making things worse for everyone. These older players are fighting against changes that would benefit the new generation of stars like Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, and other rising talents who are actually bringing fans to the league.
To all of our surprises, was somebody who's done nothing since 2023 but speak idiotically and speak like a delusional human being. The liar of them all. The king lie. The biggest projectionist of them all. I'm just going to make up things. Sheryl Swoopes.
Swoopes realizes that her old guard mentality is on the wrong side of history. The WNBA's future success depends entirely on stars like Clark, who can fill arenas and generate media attention. Veterans who spend their time tearing down these stars instead of supporting them are becoming liabilities for the league's growth. She's caught in an impossible position between her pride and her career survival. Swoopes has to somehow walk back years of vicious attacks on the league's biggest draw while pretending she was never really that hostile. She's trying to convince people that her documented lies about Clark's statistics were just misunderstandings rather than deliberate attempts to damage Clark's reputation.
We went from the locker room is in shambles, players want to leave, it's a toxic environment, nobody wants to be there, the fans are terrible, to, I don't know, I wasn't even in the locker room, to the OGs that they brought in, the OGs that said, I want to come play over there.
The power dynamic has completely shifted, and Swoopes knows it. Clark holds all the cards now as the face of women's basketball, while Swoopes is scrambling to find any way back into the league's good graces. She's essentially begging for Clark's forgiveness without actually admitting she was wrong about anything. Swoopes spent months trying to destroy Clark's credibility and reputation through her broadcasting platform. Now she's hoping that praising Clark might somehow restore her own credibility and get her back on television. The woman who used her voice to spread lies about Clark is now desperately hoping that Clark's continued success might create an opportunity for her own career resurrection. She's betting that fake praise can undo real damage, but fans aren't buying what she's selling.
It's just funny how we get to where I can't help but to find all of this amusing, and I'm glad that people found this amusing as well. Now she's on the Fever bandwagon. Phony people that hop on the bandwagon I'll never trust.
The WNBA sent a message that nobody could miss when they completely removed Swoopes from all broadcasting duties. Most people expected the league to just pull her from Indiana Fever games, since that's where her obsession with attacking Caitlin Clark was most obvious and damaging. Everyone thought they'd let her keep calling Dallas Wings games and other matchups where she could maybe stay professional. The league went way beyond that limited approach. They stripped Swoopes of every single broadcasting assignment across the entire WNBA schedule. She lost her regular Dallas Wings commentary role that she'd held for years. She got pulled from playoff games, regular season matchups, and any future broadcasting opportunities with the league. The WNBA basically told Swoopes that her services were no longer needed anywhere in their organization.
God, see, they ain't got Sheryl no more. Cheryl's gone. Cheryl's gone. Nancy still got her job, though. Nancy still got her job. They got Sheryl built. They got Sheryl built. See? Sheryl was there last year. She ain't there no more.
Nancy Lieberman stepped right into Swoopes' old spot in the Wings broadcast booth. The same Hall of Famer who had publicly corrected Swoopes' lies about Clark's statistics now replaced her professionally. Lieberman brought credibility and fairness back to Wings broadcast while Swoopes watched from home. The contrast couldn't have been more clear between a respected analyst and someone who had lost all professional credibility. The scope of this ban revealed exactly how seriously the league leadership viewed Swoopes' unprofessional behavior. They weren't just concerned about her bias against Clark and the Fever. The WNBA decided that Swoopies couldn't be trusted to call any games fairly, regardless of which teams were playing. Her year of spreading false narratives had destroyed her ability to provide objective basketball analysis.
It looks like the Dallas Wings have left off Mrs. Sheryl Swoopes on the broadcasting team for the 2025 season. If you guys remember, Sheryl Swoopes, she was on the broadcasting team last year, right?
This wasn't some temporary timeout or warning shot that other broadcasters might learn from. The league made a permanent decision to cut ties completely with Swoopes. She went from being a familiar voice that fans heard regularly during Wings broadcasts to being totally absent from WNBA coverage. Her broadcasting career with the league ended abruptly and definitively. The sport she helped build as a player was continuing its growth without her voice or input. Rising stars like Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Hull were creating memorable moments while Swoopes found on the sidelines. The league moved forward with broadcasters who could celebrate these young talents instead of trying to tear them down. The professional divorce between Swoopes and the WNBA became official when other analysts filled her former time slots. Fans got used to hearing different voices calling Wings games and other broadcasts. The league proved it could function perfectly well without someone who spent their platform spreading lies about the sport's biggest rising stars.
I kept on saying it. I said, Sheryl Swoopes, you are going to find yourself out of the media so fast by how you're, by how you're moving, how you're talking on other players, talking on other people's podcasts.
Swoopes now faces the reality that her broadcasting career might be over permanently. She burned bridges with league officials, fellow analysts, and fans through her relentless attacks on Clark. The damage from her year-long campaign of false narratives created consequences that her recent fake praise for Clark can't easily fix. Swoopes discovered that attacking the league's brightest future comes with serious consequences. Her year-long campaign of lies and false narratives against Caitlin Clark backfired spectacularly when the WNBA decided they'd had enough. Clark and her Fever teammates like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull kept proving their worth on the court while Swoopes destroyed her own credibility from the broadcast booth. The league made their priorities crystal clear by protecting rising stars over bitter veterans who can't handle change. Swoopes now sits at home watching the sport she tried to damage continue thriving without her voice. Her desperate attempts at damage control can't undo the permanent consequences of her jealousy and unprofessional behavior. Does Swoopes deserve everything that's happening to her? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.